Hi, welcome to Salt City Knits. I'm Emily, and this is a podcast all about my making life. So thanks for joining me today. It is March 7th, and I'm so happy we made it to March. We victoriously conquered January and February. That's how I'm going to choose to look at it. I live here in Salt Lake City with my husband, Richard, and our two youngest children. And on this channel, I love to talk about all of the things I'm making, usually knitting, crocheting, some sewing and quilting, as well as my knitwear patterns and my yarn that I dye. So you can find my yarn at yarnberry.com. You can also find all my patterns on yarnberry.com or on Ravelry under Salt City Knits. And you can find me on Instagram as Salt City Knits or Yarnberry. So thank you for joining me today. It is a very gray day today, but somehow the lighting I think is working okay. We've had rain and fog, and we had quite the adventure today, which I'll tell you about in just a minute. But it is, it's still just, you can tell spring is coming. I've got crocus bulbs, peeking up. Not crocus, I don't have crocus. I have hyacinths and tulips, they're kind of peeking their heads up. And it's gradually warming up, which just makes me so happy. Today, Today I am going to start with a life update, and then I have one finished object. Yes. And one work in progress. That's all I'm showing. No, two works in progress. That's what I'm showing you today. And then I have some fun pattern news, and then I will show you my newest colorways for Yarnberry, and I'm so excited about them. They are so fun. I'm just absolutely in love with them. Before we get rolling too much on today's podcast, I want to make sure to talk about our knit along and our prizes, because this month ends our knit along. So we just have through March to do this. So let me show you those prizes. First off, I have a Cordsmith tool. I'm sure you've all seen these online. They have these 3 latch hooks that are made for used for making I-cord. And I've even seen tutorials on how to use this to do applied I-cord, or no, I haven't seen applied I-cord, but an I-cord bind off. And I thought that was really interesting. So this is mine, but I have another one that's all wrapped up still, that's brand new, that's just like it, that I will be giving away. And second of all, we have this gorgeous set of yarn from Big Sky Yarn Company. These are each fingering weight colors, our yarns, and we have High Tide and Forest and Rawhide. And this is a a backcountry shawl kit that will come with the backcountry shawl pattern from me. And these are your 2 prizes. So you get the Cordsmith tool plus a pattern of your choice from my shop, or you could win this beautiful backcountry shawl set plus the backcountry shawl pattern. And the way to enter to win either of those prizes is to knit any Salt City Knits pattern and to just post a picture of it on Instagram and tag it with Salt City Knits Cal. So that is all you need to do. And you don't have to finish your project. It can be a work in progress. It can be, you can double dip into other knit alongs as well. So, for example, Dandelion and Dogwood, they are hosting an Instagram giveaway along with Amy, who is And Other Knits. That is 24 in 2024. It is a sock knit along, and it's just knitting a pair of socks every month. And so if you were to knit one of my sock patterns, you could definitely tag their hashtag and mine and be entered to win in both of those giveaways. So feel free to join in. I will be drawing prizes at the first week of April for all the entries through the end of March. So that will have started in January and gone through March. And so right now there is not as many entries as I would like to have. So this is a great opportunity for you to join in because you have a really high, you know, the odds are stacked in your favor. Let's put it that way. So join in and let's see what you are making. So let's start with the life update. So it has been rather full on over here. I'm having a windswept look today because we ended up with a little car issue today. We needed to drive my daughter to a meetup. She's doing a surprise birthday, a birthday surprise for her friend. And she is so close to being able to get her driver's license, but she doesn't turn 16 for a little bit more than a month. And she just still has a few things she's finishing up. So, you know, we're still her chauffeurs. So we were driving her there and it's about 45 minutes away. That's one of the downsides and pluses of homeschooling is that your friend group is spread all over the place. You don't have friends just that, you know, like you're going to school with and they're all kind of in your local neighborhood. She has friends, you know, all over the place. And two of her very best friends both live like an hour away from one of them and 2 hours away for the other one. And so they had managed to do this meetup kind of middle ground. So while we were down there, there's a really pretty place for photos and I needed to get a bunch of pattern photos. So I said, we'll just take her and drop her off. And then Richard and I went to do photos and we got those done and they look really good. I'll share a few at the end when I talk about pattern news. Anyway, but it was cold. I was freezing by the time we got back in the car. And then I was telling my husband, the driver's side window, by the way, has been acting a little funny. And I said, it's not like a big deal, but it's just kind of acting funny. And he said, well, what is it doing? And I told him, well, my car has one of those features where like, if you just quickly pull the window roll up button, that it will just, you don't have to hold it down. It will just roll up all the way. And I said, if you pull that button, it just doesn't do it all. I'm like, roll down the window and I'll show you. So he rolls down the window. And then I said, okay, just pull that button. And he tried it and now it won't roll up at all. So we had about a 45-minute drive on the freeway it's cold and it was lightly raining and we had to drive home with the window fully rolled down. And now we're home and Richard's fixing it and it'll be okay because he can fix anything. But my hair was a little curlier and I was looking all, you know, cute. Now I've got the windswept look. That was just a funny little adventure we're having. Richard and I are having lots of adventures. I mentioned on our podcast last episode, when he joined me as a special guest, that he had a job that he was going to be starting this month, and that has fallen through. So we are back to him not having a job. And so he's still working with me in the Yarnberry, and we're just working our little tails off. And you know what? We are having a great time together, but it's kind of stressful, as you can imagine, just trying to figure this out. And I was, you know, my son, actually both of my sons are also looking for jobs right now. My 28-year-old and my 19-year-old. They're both looking for jobs right now. And I'm like, it's different when you have to find a job when you're in your 50s than when you're in your 20s or when you're a teenager. It is a completely different ballgame. And I never thought we'd be in this position, you know, kind of at this phase in our lives, but we're just trying to be patient and just do whatever we can to make it work out. And I'm really glad that I can dye yarn and we can do that here in our home while we're trying to figure things out. I mean, I don't think it'll just end like once he gets a job. I'm not going to just quit dyeing yarn. That's not the point at all. But the point being that if we have to like extra hustle and he's going to work full time with me, then we're going to do it. Right. So that's exciting. It's just adventures all the time. Meanwhile, Heroic Youth, for those of you who've been around for a while, you know I work with a nonprofit called Heroic Youth, and we've been in our off season, but we are starting to ramp up again. And starting next week, we'll be doing our interviews. And so youth apply to be in our program, teenagers apply to be in our program, and they submit an application, and then they write an essay, and then they have to come and do an interview. And Richard and I and our main male youth leader for the year will interview all of the boys. And so we have about 125 interviews that we will be doing over a 2-week period. And that will start next week. And so that is a very, very busy time. That's a lot of interviews. It's a lot. So we have that coming up. The good news is I usually bring knitting with me because I can knit in between interviews and it works out fine. So I'll get some knitting done. All right, let's talk finished objects. So this first one, I'm actually going to show another, well, no, we'll wait on that. That's more pattern news. Okay. Things are falling. Don't fall. I need to bring like an actual table. I put my piano bench right here next to me and I pile up the stuff that I want to show on this piano bench, but sometimes the piano bench isn't quite big enough. So I designed this pair of socks and finished them, and these are using my Spring Poetry mini skein set. And I wanted to create a pattern that had a very easy little zigzag to it so that it would work well with showing off either scrappy socks or self-striping socks. And so this is that pattern. And I think they just turned out so sweet and springy. They're very Eastery, aren't they? My Spring Poetry set has these 5 colorways. So this is Ode, Limerick, Haiku, Ballad, and Sonnet. And I just repeated those. I used Ode 3 times in each sock. Ode and Sonnet are my 2 favorites. Well, I don't know, I love Limerick too. This one, and this one are my three favorites. So I used that Ode in 3 times in each of the socks. And then I had just like a partial skein of leftover undyed. My undyed yarn, the colorway I call it is Parchment. So I used that with the socks and I love how they turned out. Aren't they fun? I really love that really simple pattern along the just the front of the foot. It just gives it a little bit of interest and it makes it more fun to work in a stripy sock. It kind of makes it pop a little bit. Just having that zigzag, that kind of almost like a chevron along the front. So those were really fun. I've had questions before about knitting scrappy socks and dealing with ends. So I'm going to show you. This sock has been, all the ends have been woven in, of course, and it's been washed and it's been blocked and then it's been put on and off doing photos and things like that. And let me show you what the ends look like here. So can you see where my ends are? I weave them in like this. I used a tutorial all along right here from Kay Litton, who is Crazy Sock Lady. And that was a game changer for me because I hated doing scrappy socks before that because of ends. And when I saw that, and I think what it did is it gave me permission to make it simpler for myself. And made me realize that that simple method was going to be just fine. And if you look here on the other side, I'm just going to kind of flip this. this edge right here is where those ends are woven in. So it looks nice and clean and tidy. So I think it works really well. So I will post a link to that tutorial in the description box below if you are interested in it. But I find that to be really helpful for me, and I don't mind weaving in the ends at all now when I do socks like this. I don't do them as I go. I just weave them in one sock at a time. And I, you know, so when I finish the first sock, I just that minute turn it inside out and start weaving in the ends. And it really doesn't take too long to do them. I always use a sharp needle, not a blunt needle. I use a sharp needle when I weave in ends. For most things, honestly, yeah, I think I almost always use a sharp needle. I still do a lot of weaving, but I always kind of end with the last few stitches piercing the stitches just for that extra bit of security, which I do on these. And you could see that the very, very, very tip of the yarn has kind of fluffed up. Let me find another, let me turn that back outside and show you. So like, you can see like here, that little end has fluffed up and like there, but it doesn't unravel at all. It just stays like that. And it usually stays on the inside of the fabric, not poking through to the front, because I pierced those last few stitches and, you know, kind of separated the fibers of the plies of the yarn with my end that I'm weaving in, and it just holds it in place really beautifully. So I don't have a name yet for these socks. I have some that are in mind, but I'm still working on that. But I am going to, if you're interested in, I need like 3 test knitters for these. So if you want to be one of those test knitters, just drop me a message in the comment box below. Especially if you are on Instagram. I like running my test knit groups on Instagram. I've been doing that with the Dixie Creek cowl that I talked about last time. And it is really, it's working for my brain so much better to have it there all in one place. So anyway, that is that pair of socks. Okay, let me show you my sweater. It is not done. It is so close to being done. This sweater, the pattern is now out. This is by Joji Locatelli, and it is called the Evanescence cardigan. Her pattern calls for 2 strands of mohair, lace weight mohair, held together, and you kind of, you fade them, but not in a traditional striping pattern. It's more about like, it's more marled. Anyway, it's really beautiful, simple way of doing things. And I actually am not using the same yarn. I am using a fingering weight yarn. These are yarns from Fuzzy Peach Fibers. Let's see, there we go. And I am using 6 colors. I will try and show them to you. I can never remember which name goes with which color, so give me just a moment. I think that one's first, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then that one. Okay, so the first one is this beautiful pinky color here. Look at that, isn't that so beautiful? And I'm pretty sure this one is called Aeonian. And then second is this peachy color. Oh, sorry. And that one is called Stellify. And then this yellowy one is called Stardust. And then this one, this is the one I'm currently working with. This is called Moon, oh no, this is called Luminaries. Isn't that gorgeous? My daughter Aria said, "What is that yarn?" It is the yarn that all my pastel dreams are made of. So pretty. And then This one is called Elysian. So kind of a lavender one. And then the last one is somewhere in this very big bag. This one. And that is called Moonbow. I hope I got those right. Those are the colorway names. I may have mixed up which name went with which color, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So with that beautiful, beautiful gradient, I am holding a strand of, sorry, there's a lot to juggle, of this Surrey silk, Surrey alpaca and silk blend. And I am using the parchment colorway for that. And here is what I have got so far. So I have finished the body all the way down there. And I have finished the first sleeve. I just think it blends so beautifully from one color to another. And I am on the second sleeve and I am to here. So I think that's so beautiful. So here's the back, all that gorgeous lace. You can definitely see the stripes here a lot more on the camera than you can in person. It does blend even better together in person, but I think we've talked about this before. Cameras just, they make everything look higher contrast than what they are in person. Richard's trying to sneak down unobtrusively. It's all good. So it's really close. Once I finish this second sleeve, there is an applied I-cord that goes all the way around from hem up around your neck and back down to the hem. So that will take me some time, but I want to finish the sleeve and I want to block it before I do that. I want to make sure that the length is what I really want. I may go back and just use up the last of this blue and make it a little longer because I really did kind of want like a mid-thigh length cardigan, long cardigan, right? The pictures that Joji has for hers, it's like almost duster length. I'm quite a bit taller than she is. And the way that she wrote the pattern, usually, okay, so this is an interesting thing. And this was just a design choice and it's fine. But when you are grading, and she's very generous with her grading. She does sizes from like extra small, maybe XXS, up to like 5XL or 6XL, something like that. They're very, very wide ranging sizes, which I think is amazing. One of the things that happens when you get into the larger sizes is generally your overall length from shoulder to hem is going to be longer than somebody who is an XX, an extra, extra small. It's just going to be longer. And it's not just because, it's not just about height, but when something has to come out and then go down, it just takes more fabric to do that, right? So it takes more to cover this and it takes more to cover this, it's just going to come out farther and then hang down. So most patterns will have a longer overall length from shoulder to hem, depending on the size that you're knitting. The larger the size, the longer the length. That's not a universal thing, but that's generally the case. And I think that that's generally the case for Joji's patterns as well. In this case, it isn't the case. If your measurement from here to here in your armhole, that drop right here is longer because you're in a larger size, then the measurement from here to your hem is actually shorter than a smaller size in order to make this measurement from shoulder to hem the same length for everybody. And I think that the reason that she did it that way for this pattern is because she's not only working on, you know, she's got a lace pattern going, but she's giving you instructions on how to specifically use your colorways to give this really evenly blended effect throughout the pattern. And so in order for her to break down where you're changing those colors, if you were to try and do that for multiple different lengths of finished garment, that would be, I mean, it's already a lot to grade a pattern for different sizes in circumference. But if you then have to grade every single color change, and there's a total of 11 color changes for every single size in her like 10 sizes, I can understand why she did not want to do that. That being said, I wish I had done that. I wanted a really long cardigan, and I have enough yarn left that I could have added, you know, a good chunk more per color, which, and then I've got that 5th color that's attached to the sweater. But, you know, I've got this much yarn. If I had knit, you know, used up more of each of these along the way, it would, I could have, you know, had this the same evenly blended color changes, but a longer overall cardigan. So as it stands now, if I go back and add just the blue, I only have this much that I can add, and it will mean that there's just more blue than the other colors. I may still do it anyway. Or I may not. Once I block it, I may go, what was I worried about? This is totally fine. It's different before it's blocked. Like right now, it's a nice length, but it's not a long length. It's just kind of a, I mean, it's oversized. It's not cropped by any means, you know. It's gonna probably cover my butt, but it's not gonna go down to like that mid-thigh kind of area, which is what I was kind of hoping for. Anyway, it's absolutely beautiful. I love the colors so much. I had this set of yarns in stash for almost a full year, which isn't long for stash, but like consistently looking at them going, I can't wait to make something with that. And so when I saw her put out this test call, I was like, that's it. I have to make this work. So hopefully next time I record, this will be done. It's been a little hard for me to work on it a lot right now because I'm just having so much pain in my arms right now. And the wear and tear of yarn dyeing on top of working on my own designs and things like that has just made it that this has had to go back a little bit on the back burner. But I was really trying to finish it for the release date. But then she ended up moving the release date earlier by 2 weeks. And so I knew I wasn't going to get it done. And so I was kind of like, oh, well, I'll get it done. I will. It's so pretty. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. I think I'm going to wear it so much next year. Oh, I have fuzz though. Surrey alpaca everywhere. All right, let me pile all this yarn back in this bag. It's a lot to hold on to. Here we go. I've got this beautiful Laura Ashley bag from So Sweet Violet. It's a nice big bag, which is good. I've needed a really big bag for this project because I've had 6 full skeins of the color, and I think that I'm on my 4th or 5th. I'm on my 4th and 5th because I'm alternating them. Skeins of Surrey alpaca. There's no need to alternate skeins of Surrey alpaca because of the colors. It's an undyed skein, but the Surrey likes to cling to the strand you're holding it with. So I just found, oh, I guess this, yeah. So I've got numbers 4 and 5 that are both in, you know, open and being used. I find that when I come to the fading sections between one color and the next, that it's just easier for me to end up with a total of 4 strands attached instead of every time I have to change from one row to the next, I have to kind of detangle my fingering weight yarn from my Surrey. Because look at what's happening down there, right? It's all, they get kind of wrapped together. And they play fine that way when it's just the 2 of them, but that was a lot more helpful for me. I may have mentioned that last time I talked about the sweater. I don't know for sure if I did. It's gonna be a very warm and comfy and beautiful one when I'm all done. Okay, my second work in progress that I want to show you is, oops, sorry, my granny stripe blanket. Let me pull this out. So this is my bag of bits and scraps. There's chunkier ones like this right here. And like this one right here, which is a bigger piece. But most of them are, and like that right there. But most of them are just little bits of yarn left over. And this is a bag from Black Pearl Magic. And this is what I have so far. It's so springy. Isn't that just fun? I love a good granny stripe blanket. I am using a 3mm hook for this one. I have done one with 3mm, this one with 3mm, and I've done 2 others with 3.5, and I'm really enjoying the 3mm. It's fun. I don't know why I picked using a 3mm this time. My guess is I thought that that's what I had done before. But now I'm into it, so I'm stuck with it. But it's fine. I like it, and it's great. I like the fabric that it's making. I like how it's turning out. And it's just so fun. I mean, a granny stripe blanket, you really kind of can't go wrong with it. It's its own kind of just satisfying, right? Like every time you make a row, it just makes me so happy. Oh, it's so fun. It's like, it's kind of like treasure journaling or junk journaling, but with yarn. I don't know how to make sense of that, but I feel like it's true in my heart. I'm using all fingering weight yarns, 3mm hook, and the hooks that I use. One thing I don't like about these hooks that have like this, is it silicone? Silicone's not the right word, is it? This plasticky thing is they get kind of dirty and gunky looking. Oh, that's not showing up. They get kind of like gross looking just as you use them. So every once in a while I have to go and wash it. It kind of makes me grossed out. But these are so comfortable for me. And I just got a kit on Amazon that had a whole bunch of hooks in it in the zipper case. And I have 2 of those sets, and I like my downstairs set and my upstairs set. This is from my upstairs set. Anyway, and that works out really well. I think it looks like I was here where that stitch marker is. Nope, that's the bottom. I was there where the stitch marker was last time I showed this. So I've made quite a bit of progress since I showed it last. And I had this out at knit night last night. Oh my gosh. Knit night was so fun. I will talk about that in just a minute. And my friend Margaret, she just walked by and she goes, oh, now I want to make another one. Just because, you know, it's just got something fun about it. So there you go. I'm using mostly pastels with just a slightly sherbety vibe to them. And I love it. I think my original chain was 289 chains, and I'm using the general tutorial that's by Attic24 if you're looking for details. So if you just Google Attic24 granny stripe blanket, you'll be able to find that information. I think that hers is describes maybe DK weight yarn. But you know, all you really need is to know the basic stitch pattern, and you can make it any size, any weight, any gauge that you want. So that is just what I am doing. Fingering weight yarn, 3mm hook, 289 chains to begin with. And that is how it's going. So that is all I have for my works in progress. I haven't still touched my Advent stripy sweater. That will be for after I finish my Hohi sweater. And yeah, so that's coming up next. Okay, there may be some noise in the background. Isaac is needing to eat lunch. So he's gonna be in the kitchen, which is on the other side of this wall. But you know what? This is my house. I live here. My family does too, so that's good. Okay, I'm excited to talk about pattern news. So today we did the photo shoot for 4 patterns. So I did photos for my Dixie Creek cowl, which I showed on the podcast last time. And I love how these photos turned out. And this one is in test knitting right now. And my test knitters are such a blast. They are so great. Thank you, all of you who are test knitting for me. They're so helpful and positive and fun on our little chat. It's kind of fun to have this little chat that we have together. There are lots of people who have finished theirs already, and a couple of people that I think are already starting a second one. So that's exciting. That pattern is actually going to come out next week. So I'm gonna say, what's the day? I need to pick a day. Emily, pick a day. We're going to release it on Saturday next week, 16th, March 16th. So that pattern will release on March 16th. And we're definitely finding that I got mine out of 1 skein of worsted weight yarn. And others have also gotten theirs out of a skein of worsted weight yarn, but still others have needed to break into a second skein. So keep that in mind as you are looking at them. But it is a fast knit. We've had people who've definitely finished it like I did in 2 days, and others who finished it in like 4 or 5. And it doesn't really matter how long, but if you're looking for a fast worsted weight knit, that is a great one. It would be fun if you did different sections with different colors, or if you worked just the last couple rows of garter stitch and the picot bind off in a contrasting color. So there's ways to make it work, even if you don't necessarily have 2 full skeins of worsted weight yarn and you're worried if you run out. Pull out some scraps of another colorway that you like with it, and you'll be able to figure out how to make it work. So that one, we got those photos done. And then the second one we finished up was the Albion shawl, and it's actually the Albion Basin shawl. And I loved this. This was really fun to do this photo shoot with Richard. So I love how these photos turned out. It is really intimidating to be the model for things, but I'm learning to embrace it because there are a lot of people like me that don't get to see models in their shape and size. And so I'm just trying to embrace it, and like, here I am. And I love how these pictures turned out. So I am really excited about this one. I love this shawl so much. Our test knit is going to actually start tomorrow or Saturday, probably Saturday. So I've got my test knitters and we're going to start working on that this weekend. I'm just in the finishing up phases of getting that pattern prepped for them. And so that is going to roll as well. And that pattern will release in April. And I'll give you more details on that as it gets closer. Then these socks, I just mentioned that I need like 3, 4, maximum of 5 test knitters for these socks. And message me only if you are like, I want to cast them on right away. Like Monday, like next Monday, I would be ready to cast on. And you would need to use either self-striping yarn or minis to make your socks. So that we can see that fun little zigzag there. just go ahead and put a message down below. And I don't want to create like a whole form for it, but those will come out as soon, you know, in April probably as well. And then lastly, I showed this cowl quite a while ago. I'm gonna put it on right now. This cowl uses one skein of like your main color, and then 5 mini skeins. And you can use either 10-gram minis, or if you have 20, you can break into them. This only took just under 10 grams. I mean, less than 10 grams per stripe. So you could use 10-gram minis if you would want to. And it uses 5 contrasting colors. And I used Candy Shop yarns. And this was her cream soda colorway. And then these 5 minis, so there's the blue, kind of that greenish color. Then you've got this really good purpley color, chocolatey brown, and then bright pumpkin. I think this was called her, it was like cinnamon spice and everything nice, or pumpkin spice and everything nice. One of those mini sets to make this. And I'm going to weigh this again, but I think I actually only used 50 grams. I will weigh that again. I'm going to actually, I'll put it on the screen here. But I love how this turned out, and it's so easy to make, and it's super easy to wear. It just goes on like that, and it's really fun. And so I also am going to have a testing call in the description box below if you are interested in being a test knitter for this cowl. This test knit will start toward the end of March and will run until probably through April, with a release date in May. Actually, the release date will be the last week in April. Deborah, my sister, who is the dyer for this yarn, is using this as a shop sample for the Great Basin Fiber Arts Fair, which will be a yarn show here in Utah. And that weekend, I want to have this pattern out so that it will be available that weekend. So if you are interested in being a test knitter, make sure to go and fill out that form. This is a crazy time. I have so many things in the works, but it won't always be this many at a time. So thank you for bearing with me. All right. Ooh, that's actually really cozy. I kind of want to keep that on, but I already took it off. So let me show you yarn. First off, thank you so much to everybody who ordered from either my spring poetry mini skein set, like the ones here in these socks, or the Little House sock sets. I actually have pre-orders up now. If you are still interested in Little House sock sets, those just kept selling out and selling out and selling out. So what I've done is I put a pre-order listing up. I'm gonna leave that up until March 16th. And on March 16th, at the end of the day, I will close that pre-order down, and then I will be dyeing up all of that yarn and sending it out by probably April 6th, April 7th, somewhere in there, first week of April. So if you are interested in those and you were not able to get them, I listed them like 4 or 5 times and they've just sold out every time. So if you were not able to get in on one of those listings, you can go and do a pre-order. Just know that you won't get it until the first week of April. But sorry for the microwave noises. It's all good. Anyway, but if you are, so go and join that. In addition, I have a new collection, and these are all inspired by Emma by Jane Austen. I love that book. I know a lot of people are not as big of a fan of the character of Emma as, you know, like Lizzie Bennet. Understandable. You can't really beat Elizabeth Bennet, but she won't let you. But I love Emma. I love that she is so flawed and that she learns and she grows. So this is a very pastel collection. So the first 4 colorways are right here. And so right here we have Miss Woodhouse. I love that. This one is probably one of my very favorites. It's bright pinks and yellows on a really soft pastel base. And here we have Elegant Jane Fairfax. And I love this one. You know, in the book it says, when pressed, I say she's elegant. And here we have Harriet Smith, our poor ditzy Harriet Smith, who is so boy crazy. She doesn't even know what to do with herself. And then we have my Mr. Knightley. Emma says, I don't want to call you just Mr. Knightley. I want to call you my Mr. Knightley. So those four right there together, aren't they just so fun? In addition to that, and these are available right now only on my Biography sock base. I love this base. It is a very plump, round, just squishy sock base. In addition to that, I have a sock set that I have dyed. I love it so much. And this is called Made the Match Myself. Peachy pinks and creams and blush with a lovely soft blue mini. So these sock sets, Made the Match Myself. These are available on my Contemporary sock base. That is an 80/20 sock base. So this colorway, or this yarn, is 80/20 2-ply, 400 yards to 100 grams, plus a 20-gram mini. And these are 85/15 merino nylon, and the merino is extra fine merino. It's very soft and squishy, with 437 yards to 100 grams. So those are all going to be in the shop as well. They should be there by the time you see this, along with the pre-orders. If you order pre-order yarn and ready to ship yarn together, I will hold your yarn and ship it with your pre-order, unless you message me and tell me otherwise. Hopefully that works. And I will definitely put that in all the listings so you can see that. Okay, I think that is all of the Yarn Brary news for right now. So thank you so much for joining me again today. I really appreciate it. And until I see you again, have so much fun with all of your making. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.